Good Monday afternoon. Well, I've decided to go on with book number 2 in my mystery series. The last book, or the first book, took 18 programs, and I assume this will take about the same. I'm a little apprehensive or uncertain as to what's going to happen in this show because I've added a few things. So I guess we'll find out whether I know what I'm doing or not. There's probably some question about that already. This second book in the series, Where is the Rest of the Body? Aye, where is the rest of the body? Well, this happens 4 years later. But before I say anything more, I'm going to introduce two of my friends. Well, I wouldn't call them friends. They're acquaintances, silent partners. They're sitting in with me today, two of my guests. If you look over here, you'll see Sammy the Skull, and up above him, you'll see Billy Bones. Now, Billy Bones has on a toque because it's very cold. And I know we're indoors, but he doesn't seem to notice that. He always feels the cold. I've always told him, you don't have enough flesh on you, buddy. You better eat some things or you're going to fade away. Anyway, I'm hoping that both Sammy and Billy will behave. You can see it's relevant when the title of the book is Where's the Rest of the Body? So what has gone on? Well, 4 years have gone by in the small town of Chaseford, where the first mystery occurred, the death of Louise Carter, and now we're about to embark on another mystery. Things have also been going on in the world, and I'd like to let you know just exactly what has been going on in the world. That first book was set in 1928. This one was set in 1932. And of course, the one big thing that's happened is the Great Depression is well underway. It's made it a difficult time for many people. And some things went on as normal. All that money Joel's mother had saved up to send him to university has been spent, and Joel did go to university, and he did graduate. And like many people at that time, whether they went to university or not, he's not employed. Okay? So here's a little bit of the start of the story. I'll pick my binder up. Okay. And I'm going to read from it a little bit. Okay, this is sort of where I originally typed that up and then eventually gets converted into a book. So, Sunday, December the 1st, 1932, 10 years before I was born, probably longer before you were born. It was a cold day, but it wasn't too cold to go for a skate. Right now, where I just outside my window, it's about 10 below, and with the wind chill, it takes it to about 15 or 16 below. When I was much younger, I would have considered that ideal skating weather. And today, Joel was going with his friends, Jay and Georgie and Sylvia. They were going to Sylvia Grayson's place, which is at the edge of the town right next to a farm. There are empty fields behind their home. Snow had started earlier in the year, and just to get you in the mood, we'll see what happens here. Sound effects. Let's see how this works. Now, I don't want you dancing around while you're supposed to be listening to me. And my buddies over there, they look pretty innocent, but you can never tell when they're pulling some kind of prank on me. Hey, stop that. I cannot believe it. I'm trying to do something and they're going to fool around now. Look at that. They'll pretend they were still and didn't move a muscle. Anyway, going back to this. There'd been a short, an empty fields behind the home. Snow had come early. And then there'd been a short warm spell. This is the start of December. Followed by some very cold weather. And you know what that does to the fields in the country. And it puts a nice layer of ice on them. Now sometimes it's not ideal rink condition. And it wasn't this day either. So anyway, they went out skating. And as they did, they were enjoying it. It was far from perfect, though. You know what rinks like that are like. There are bits of plowed earth that show through. I don't know if you've ever skated on fields or not. I certainly have, or did, not recently. But those patches of brown are easy to see, and for heaven's sakes, don't hit them, or you'll stop dead and fall on your face in the ice. So they're skating around, having a great time. Just listen. I don't know if you can hear them yelling or hollering or anything, but things are great. Wonderful afternoon. Just a second, I'll terminate our musical interlude. Whoa, it worked. So they're skating, and they get ready to head back to the Grayson home. That's where Sylvia lives. Remember now, this is 4 years later, so these people are in early 20s. And they, just as they're getting ready to take a look around, Joel spots something. Jay, there's something in a patch of earth over there. Just see it over there? Just that black thing? And of course they discuss it. Is that just another chunk of earth? Well, maybe it is. It could be. Well, let's go take a closer look. So they go over and they do take a closer look. And, well, wow. Wow. It's, looks like an arm. And this one is not attached to a body. So they holler at at Sylvia and Georgie, say, we've got something we're looking at here. Why don't you two go back to the house and see how the baby's doing. Sylvia and Jay have a tiny baby, and Sylvia's mom and dad are babysitting. And we'll be back. We'll catch up with you. Okay, we want to take a closer look at something over here. So they bend over. The girls head back towards the house, get some hot chocolate. The fellows bend over and take a look, and it is a severed arm that they're staring at. Well, I don't think we should pick this up, Joel said. We've got to leave it for the police. We've got to go back and contact the police. So they head back to the house too. And as soon as they go in the back door, they can hear the happy babble of the three women and the one little baby. Of course, as soon as the two of them came through the door, the others looked at them and could tell by the expressions on their faces that they'd seen something terrible. What's going on? Said Georgie. What did you find? Well, said Jay, we found somebody's arm, but we don't know where the rest of the body is. Oh my goodness, yelled Clara. Grandma Clara, I guess you'd call her. Georgie and Sylvia turned pale. Baby Brad, though, just kept babbling away because he was safe in his mother's arms. Joel said, I have to use the telephone right now. I have to call the police. So, of course, he phones the police station. And remember, this is a Sunday afternoon. And Constable Smith's on duty. And as soon as Smith answers the phone, Joel says, we were out skating this afternoon on the farmland out behind the Grayson's house, and we found an arm. I don't understand what you're trying to tell me, said Constable Smith. I hope this isn't a prank. If it is, you'll be in trouble. You can't be wasting my time. I'm sorry, Constable Smith. I didn't explain it very well. This is Joel Franklin phoning, and we found something. When we went over to take a closer look, we saw that it was a human arm that had been severed off of somebody's body. Now, there is no sign of any of the other body parts anywhere. Heaven help us, was the surprised exclamation that came from Constable Smith. Don't touch a thing. I'll phone Chief Petrovic right now. Please stay at Grayson's until we get in touch with you. Joel hung up the telephone and stared at it. It was a nice, quiet Sunday afternoon, and Chief Petrovic was at home. It was close to supper time. The smell of roast beef was almost overwhelming. I can almost taste it. Roast beef, ooh, sounds good. He'd been sitting in his front room reading Saturday's paper and listening to his daughters argue. It was a scene of typical domestic bliss. Then the phone rang. Both girls knew it was for them. The oldest daughter grabbed the telephone first. With a severe look of disappointment, she handed the telephone to her dad and said, Constable Smith for you, Dad. What a disappointment it was to her. Petrovic reluctantly took the telephone from his oldest daughter. He knew it wouldn't be good news. A call to his home on a Sunday afternoon about police business was not good news. Petrovic here, he responded. Tell me about it. So Constable Smith told him the story. The chief interrupted him once, saying, Did you say arm? When Smith finished, Petrovic said, Stay at the station for the rest of your shift. I'll give the Graysons a call. So he made the call through to the Graysons. That's where everybody was still drinking their hot chocolate, sitting there wondering what on earth had gone on in the farmer's field. Joel answered the telephone. Did you see any other body parts? Asked the chief. No, sir. The area doesn't look like the scene of a crime. We can't do much today, the chief said. It's almost dark. I know that the sun sets around 20 to 5 today. Remember, this is mid-November, just a little earlier than we are about a month earlier than when I'm doing this broadcast. I'll send Constable Herman out as soon as I can locate him. He can mark the location and bring the severed arm to the station. We'll conduct a more thorough search tomorrow. You please stay there so that when Constable Herman arrives, you can show him where you found the arm. So they sit there thinking about Christmas coming up. Pleasant thoughts. You know, remember it was a beautiful day. Oh, they could have gone for a sleigh ride, but not on their skates. And then in the middle of that day, they get dropped into this mess, a severed arm. Well, we're going to have to see what happens. About half an hour later, there was a knock at the Graysons' door. Supper was ready, but they thought they'd have to hold off for now. So then Jay and Joel escorted Peter Herman out to the field where the arm was. Herman took a small thing that I guess you'd call it a flag. It was a piece of rag tied on a stick that he had with him to mark the spot of the discovery. He picked up the severed arm, put it in the carrying bag, thanked them for promptly reporting what they had discovered, and went back to the police station. That's the end of today's reading. Now, I would like to say, first of all, thank you to you for listening, and also thank you because after that minor difficulty, my friend Sammy here and Billy Bones behaved rather well, I thought. Anyway, you have a good afternoon.